What's up, guys? Jimmy Vercellino here. Wanted to take some time on a Saturday. I don't typically do this very much, but I thought it was important enough to touch base with you and talk a little bit about the VA myths that exist in the marketplace, VA mortgage loan myths, I should say, and how they impact veterans, how they deter veterans from being able to purchase homes, how, I'll use this word intentionally, veterans are discriminated against when they're submitting an offer by the sellers of the property. And quite frankly, I've had it. All right, I'm on a mission, and that mission is to help veterans and active duty military purchase homes and utilize, in my opinion, arguably the most effective or cost-effective or competitive loan that's available in the marketplace today, and that is a VA home loan benefit. Good to go? So in this video, I'm going to discuss the VA myths and most importantly, the truth when it comes to VA loan financing, and that way you as the veteran or active duty service member can be prepared moving forward, all right? So my name is Jimmy Vercellino. I specialize in VA loans. I'm a mortgage loan originator, been originating VA loans for the better part of the last 18 years, serving veterans and active duty military all across the nation. So if you found that this information is of value, feel free to subscribe to the channel, click like on the video, or comment with your questions down below, and I'll make sure personally to get them answered for you, all right? So the first myth that I hear on VA loans is that the seller has to pay all of the fees. In other words, that the seller has to pay your costs in conjunction with a VA loan. So therefore, VA loans are less desirable, right, to sellers because they don't want to have to pay for your fees. This is not true. All right. And the reason why this is so commonly misunderstood is because back in the day, mortgage lenders used to pay or charge something called a loan origination point. Okay. And inside of that cost, if you think about it, it's like I'm charging you to originate your loan, processing, application, underwriting, etc. Well, if a veteran is being charged a loan origination point, then there's specific costs that can't be paid on the loan. Right? And nowhere in the VA lender's handbook does it state that you or the seller has to pay them. This is just nonsense. And the other thing that I would say about the loan origination point is simply this. It's kind of an antiquated fee. We really don't see it that much in the mortgage industry. I share all of this to say the following, that a veteran can write a full price offer on a home and literally pay for all of the costs in conjunction with the acquisition of a home, to include the termite. A lot of real estate agents love to challenge me on that. It's like, no, you as the veteran can pay the termite too. Now, having said that, if you can get the seller to pay for your costs, let me give you a virtual fist bump, boom, right? More power to you. I would love for that to happen, but it's not required. And I don't want, if you get in a multiple offer situation, you have to ask the seller to pay for your fees. It's like, no, you don't. You as the veteran, if you're prepared to do so, can cover them all of yourself. Good to go? So the other thing that I would share with you, or myths that I've heard over the years that adversely affects or impacts veterans, is that this notion that VA loans are subprime loans. You know, I remember when I was getting out of the Marine Corps in 2005 and somebody said to me, you know, you should probably use an 80-20 loan, 80% first, 20% second, 100% financing, right? Well, you know what? It really, frankly, upsets me. I'm putting it mildly here. That veterans were told that, because oftentimes back in those days, veterans were put into mortgage loans that had balloon payments, and those things adjusted on veterans and they hurt them badly, right? So the VA loan is not a subprime loan. The veteran has the option, should they choose to do so, to put money down, number one. So you as the veteran can bring a down payment to closing if you choose to do so, but it's not mandatory. And why is the VA loan a subprime loan if it's more cost effective for you? Like, somebody help me to understand that, right? The VA loan, 100% financing, no monthly private mortgage insurance, right? And at the same time, the interest rate can oftentimes be lower than conventional, right? So how is that a subprime loan if it saves you money? This is just absurd. And I can't stand this bum scoop that kind of permeates throughout the marketplace where people say this about our loans. And the other thing that I would say is something that I find very important. You know, they say facts are stubborn little things. Did you know that VA loans have a lower rate of default, more so than FHA and conventional loans? I mean, this stuff is true. I'll actually cite the study down in the comments down below. so that way you can see it for yourselves. Good to go. The other thing that I would say is this idea of VA loans are terrible. All right. I don't know if you've ever heard that before, but listing agents love to say, oh, you know, it's a VA loan. You shouldn't use it because the appraiser's going to go out there and he's going to lowball your property. It's like, stop it. Stop saying that. It hurts veterans getting into homes and it upsets me. I said that already, but it's true. It upsets me. And so why do I say that this stuff is not true? I'm going to link another video down below where I personally speak to a VA appraiser, right? I interview him. His name is Jay Josephs. And I say, Jay, why do people say that VA loans or VA loan appraisals are less competitive or less desirable? And he says, Jimmy, you know what? I don't know why people say that, but here's what I could tell you. Right? I know that my opinion of value will never change on a VA appraisal from a conventional appraisal or an FHA appraisal. In other words, he doesn't give a rip about the loan type that's coming from the borrower. All he cares about are the comps associated with that home and whether or not they meet fair market value. And for anybody else that likes to mess talk on, VA loan appraisals, it's like, tell me another appraisal type that will allow you to lobby for your value before it's even issued. Right? Conventional FHA won't let you do this, but guess what? VA will. It's called the Tidewater Notice. And I've got other videos that I speak about the Tidewater Notice in and how that works and really kind of what you need to know. But essentially, if the property isn't going to appraise, the appraiser gives you 48 hours to provide additional comps that support the value of the property. Now, to be fair, have I had a bad VA appraisal before, veterans? Of course I have. Will I have one in the future? Probably. But guess what? I have had bad FHA and conventional appraisals too, right? So please don't let real estate agents get away with this stuff because, it's just not true and it prevents veterans from getting into homes. And the last thing that I would say in the VA loan appraisal piece is simply this. Remember that it's not an employee of the VA, right? It's an independent appraisal company that's going out to inspect that property. Speaking of inspecting that property, there's 3 things that the appraiser's looking for when they get out there. And this is kind of another myth that I hear in the real estate community. It's like the appraiser's gonna, call out all of these things. There's 3 things that you need to be prepared for, okay? That the property is structurally safe, sound, and secure or sanitary. As long as you're checking the 3 boxes there, you're not going to run into any issues. All right. So just remember that moving forward. If there's any chipping paint, this is something that would be called out on a VA loan. So best you address it in advance so that way it gets taken care of before the appraiser gets out there and you as the veteran save $150 or $200, on an additional trip charge. Good to go. So, there are some other things that I think are important to note that I'll briefly mention in this video. There's actually more myths that come from the veteran community, right? And, part of my mission over the course of the last 18 years is not just educating the real estate community, but educating veterans and active duty military about the VA home loan benefit. Because here's what I've learned over the years. VA doesn't advertise this stuff, right? Mortgage loan officers don't understand it. So how in the world can we expect our veterans to know and truly understand how the VA loan benefit works? And it's like they don't, right? And so a lot of veterans think that the VA loan expires. Once again, this is a myth. It's not true. The veteran can use the VA loan as many times as they would like, and it never expires or goes away. All right, so that's important to use, or important to know rather. And I think I just talked about the kind of second point here, and that is that the VA loan expires, okay? Or I'm sorry, that that you can only use it once, forgive me. So again, veterans can use their VA loan as many times as they would like, so long as they have sufficient entitlement. So there's so many veterans that watch my video that are kind of enlightened to the power of our VA home loan benefit, and they don't know how this stuff works. And that's really why we create this content to really design or educate veterans and active duty military so that way they properly understand their VA loan benefit. A lot of veterans reach out to me from this channel and they're completely unaware of the opportunity or possibility that exists with having more than one VA loan at a time. So not only does it never expire, right? You can use it as many times as you would like, but you can even have more than one at a time. It's like, wait a second, Jimmy, what are you talking about, right? Well, this is true. You can use the VA loan as many times as you would like. You can even have more than one at a time. Now, what we have to do is we have to determine your entitlement amount to make sure that you have enough remainder of a VA loan to proceed forward with. But so long as you do, and you're going to occupy the new home as your primary residence, you can use a second VA loan. Good to go. And I think that's important for us to know. The other thing that I want veterans to know is that just because you're utilizing or maybe putting money down, maybe you're putting down 20%. It's like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and use my conventional. Not so fast, right? Just because you're putting down 20% does not mean that a conventional loan is always going to be in your best interest, pun intended, right? Because the VA loan will oftentimes have lower rates than a conventional loan, anywhere from 1/4 to 3/8 of a percentage point, possibly, right? Especially depends upon credit score. And in addition to that, if the veteran is service connected and doesn't have a VA funding fee, this is another kind of, feather in the cap of the VA loan. So just because you're putting down 20% doesn't mean that you should just throw out this idea of utilizing your VA loan. What we do for our clients is we present them both options and we allow them to make an educated decision on what's in their best interest. Okay, not the best interest of somebody else who doesn't want to take the time to originate your VA loan because they don't understand it. All right. And then, yeah, so I think, this is kind of a longer video. I don't usually do these, I don't know, would you guys call it a rant? I apologize if it felt like one or sounded like one, but I really just want veterans to know and understand their VA home loan benefits so that way they can build and create wealth. My name is Jimmy Vercellino. I'm a mortgage loan originator. I specialize in VA loans. If you guys have comments on this stuff, make sure to drop it down below. Or if I can personally be a resource for you, I'm not hard to find. Jimmy at VALoans4vets.com. Till next time, talk to you soon.